Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today I'm bringing you another important interview that I hope you guys will check out and explore and maybe come get involved. Before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com where you can get all of our latest content, sign up for our email newsletter, which you can get to your inbox every single week. And today, though, I'm really excited to talk with a friend of mine who some of you may have heard about through various means on this channel and through my work. He's helped me out in a lot of different ways. My buddy Kenny, who, I guess, Kenny, I could introduce you in a variety of ways, vegan chef. I like to think of you as a kind of philosopher who's always challenging the libertarian ANCAP crowd, public speaker who does that. But today, we're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about your new project. So first off, welcome, brother. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, brother. I'm doing really, really well, and I'm so excited to be here with you.
So let's tell everybody a little bit more about, I guess, just briefly your background before we talk about the main topic of today. You know, where are you coming from? How did you get involved in all this? And what led you to organizing the event that we're going to talk about today?
All right. Well, I guess the short version is, I tried to fit into the mainstream paradigm for a couple decades, and that led to a lot of depression and alcoholism and drug abuse. And then I had a psychedelic experience that kind of showed me that wasn't going to work. I started diving down rabbit holes, watching documentaries, reading a lot of books, got into a little bit of protest style activism, started organizing some homeless outreach events. I went to the first Anarchapulco and realized, oh, there's events like this all over the world. There's people getting together doing this stuff everywhere. I can't be staying in the same city. And so for the last 4 years, I've lived out of a backpack, going to conferences, festivals, retreats, rainbow gatherings, and just plugging in and being of support to the people changing things and to the movement however I can.
And so, I guess that puts you in a pretty unique position yourself to be somebody now who is preparing to put on your own event. And as you said, you've organized different types of events in the past, but this is more of, well, I'll let you explain it because I don't want to even describe it as a conference or a festival because you do a great way of kind of describing it on the website. So as I said, though, you've been to Rainbow Gathering, which I recommend everybody attend a Rainbow Gathering if you never have. Some of my audience will be familiar with Envision Festival and with Anarchapulco and with some of the events that I've spoke at that you have also been at many of those. After being to all these different places, what drove you to want to create your own event, which let's go ahead and mention now is called Be Empowered. Tell everybody a little bit about that. What drove you to want to do your own thing after going to all these other places? Why not just continue to visit other people's events as opposed to being the one behind the scenes doing the difficult work?
Well, really, it mostly came down to in these different realms, seeing one event or a couple events do something that really, really works. And then some other events may do something that didn't work at all. And some ideas that came up, while talking to people working on the events that nobody's even done yet. I just had this collection of stuff, like the kind of best practices almost that aren't even being practiced, most of them. And I realized, a lot of events kind of get stuck in the pattern and they play out basically the same thing every year. They don't evolve, or a lot of it, it's all the spectrum. There's some that get better and better every year. There's some that kind of have issues and start to fade off. And then there's some that are just offering the exact same thing. But there's so many pieces that I've just found are lacking. And I've been involved in about 70 to 80 conferences, festivals, retreats in the last 4 years. And there's just some little pieces that I've never really noticed or I've seen, like, oh, let's have a percentage of sales going to some nonprofit or some community organization. But it's always just one. It's usually owned by or run by the person who's running the conference too, or like a good friend of theirs. And the people involved, in putting on the event and in coming and funding the event don't really get a say in where that money goes. So with Be Empowered, we opened it up so everybody gets to choose. There'll be 12 organizations there. And yeah, $30 worth of your ticket is a donation, but you're going to get little tokens so you can talk to those different organizations and decide which one or which ones you want your donation to go to. Just little things like that, where it's like taking what people are doing, but kind of adding more choice to it, adding more of a decentralized, free, like just implementing more of the philosophy, more of the principles into the practices that we are already seeing in some of these events.
Absolutely. So before we get more into the specifics, let's go ahead and tell everybody about the date and the location and the website for Be Empowered.
Yeah, so Be Empowered is May 17th through 19th at the Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. It's about an hour from the Denver airport. It's a 100+ acre intentional community eco village that's been there since the 1940s. They're growing the food. It just amazing operation there. And the website is be-empowered.xyz.
Awesome. And so Colorado, that's not a far flight. I think this is one of the discussions we had is one of the reasons you chose Colorado, besides just being a beautiful place that, you're you're looking at a lot of the different events that are taking place, some in Mexico, Costa Rica, all across the US, other parts of the world. And I think you were purposefully aiming to find a place that could be the most convenient to the most people coming from many different directions. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. After seeing, some of these events, there's like $1 million going to the airlines just for one event. It's like, that's, we have to get around, we have to connect with each other. I understand that the travel is necessary, but at the same time, these corporations, that they don't want to create the world that we're trying to create. At least they don't seem to. So why is it that so much of the money for these events is actually going to people paying for airfare to get there? So yeah, Denver has direct flights from basically every city in the U.S. Lots of direct flights from outside, and Houston round trip is like $100. LA round trip is like $90. It's an affordable airport, and it's got that combination of like easily accessible airport and nature and mountains and trees, and everything is right there, pretty close by.
Awesome. Yeah. And you said the Loveland Ranch is, this intentional community. There's basically a farm there, a community there. And so all the meals are going to be coming from there. Let's start to talk about some of the logistics, right? So the biggest thing I think that is an obstacle to many people, and we've had this conversation privately for a while now, that, I get invited to speak at many events that as an individual, I personally wouldn't be able to afford to attend them. And that's not anything against any of the organizers for any of the events I've been at, really, because I know that these events can be expensive to put on, having put on my own festivals, but I've also put on free festivals and seen kind of the balance between there. And my point with all this is just that I'm very aware when I go to an event and I'm having to fly, as you said, spend money on air travel, spend money on places to stay, spend money on food. And if I also had to pay for my own ticket, it might be a deal. It probably would be a deal breaker because I just don't really have that much money, backing me up. And so I realize there's a lot of other people who are in that situation. And that's why I appreciate the approach that, again, you're going with, is trying to make it the most convenient location as possible. And if I remember correctly, the ticket price includes meals throughout the weekend, right? And as well as, it's not like some other festivals or conferences where, the components are additional prices. Like you get a main price for your ticket, but then if you want to do the yoga retreat aspect, then you're going to pay extra for that. If you want to go to the workshops, you're going to have to do extra for that. So tell everybody a little bit about that, about what's all included, what the price is, first of all, what's all included in that. And I like the way you describe it on the website too. I can't remember what it is. It's like 40%, 20%. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, to start with that point, it's 40% conference, 40% retreat, 20% festival. So the schedule of each day, there's always it's a one track thing. There's one event going on at a time. We start every day with yoga, and then we've got all the meals, but we go yoga, meal, and then what's called a Solsara introduction. Solsara is a practice of authentic relating. It's this really amazing connective practice. It's good for getting into our own emotional stuff and connecting with others. Then we go into talks and lunch and some more talks, and then yoga before dinner. And it's actually going to be yoga or qigong, so people will have a choice there, a little softer, or it's kundalini yoga, so it's a little intense. And then dinner, and then a full hour-long sound healing, and then a full concert every night. So it's got all these different facets, from the movement and the meditation and the mindfulness to really intellectual, getting into these topics in a discussion. There's going to be some panels and lots of talks. to like getting out there and just, having a good time, is celebrating and getting the music going and really moving our bodies.
And so let's say somebody, they're more of they're there more for the movement that you discussed, like some of the authentic relating and the yoga and the the different movement activities that you have, but they're not so much somebody who's going to sit down and listen to a talk or a panel. They can still, they're, it's your choice, right? How you want to spend your weekend there. The meals are included. I don't know if you mentioned the ticket price, but let's go ahead and just let everybody know. Well, because I just want to emphasize that all of this is included. So your organic meals from this intentional community that you're going to be spending the weekend on, your workshop talks, the concert every night, the yoga if you want to participate in meditation, these types of activities are all included in this one ticket price.
Yeah. So through the end of March, we're at the early bird price of $360. It'll go up a little bit after that. But yeah, that 360, it includes 9 organic buffet style meals grown and prepared by the people who live on this land and have lived there for 7 decades. And then it includes camping as well. There are options for people who want to do lodging. There's like on-site dorms and hotel rooms and like apartments for rent and stuff. But really, you can pay a $360 ticket price, show up with $0 in your pocket, and have the entire experience of the whole weekend, however much of it, however much you want to be in the room or in the space for, and however much you want to just be milling around talking to people or sitting under a tree watching the sunset, or, it's a beautiful place. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to dip out every now and then just to go through hikes through the hills there. But yeah, $360, which is honestly more than I wanted it to be, but realistically, there's just a lot of costs we have to cover, largely to the venue, because they are providing everything, not just the space, but all the meals and all of this stuff. But yeah, that price is everything. You can show up with no money and you're good.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty competitive price. I definitely understand your desire to want to keep the price as low as possible, because I'm always there too. I'm always trying to think of like the person who's scraping by, and wants to be there but can't afford it. But as you said, there are costs to this. And honestly, I think it's a great price because of all the places I've been invited to, again, like as a speaker, I can't imagine, like I haven't seen anybody, throw out a $360 ticket price for 3 or 4 days. Are we doing 3 or 4 days?
3 days.
3 days. So for 3 full days of movement, meditation, and discussion and music with some really talented musicians. We're going to get into a moment the actual speakers and the performers. But having all that plus 3 organic meals a day for your entire stay there, and then camping. And as you said, you could literally show up if you didn't want to upgrade your lodging, and if you don't want to buy any shirts or books to support anybody, or you're not planning on spending any extra money, you could show up with no money and just buy your plane ticket, buy your ticket to the event, and then go home and not be hurting too bad financially, and come home also with these great new experiences and all this new knowledge and meeting lots of great people. So I think it's a pretty good deal, and I'm really thankful to be a part of it. Let's get into that though. Let's start talking about some of the people that you have invited out as speakers, as performers, musicians, artists, everybody who's going to be involved.
Yeah. So one of the big focuses has been kind of bringing people that run more in the anarchist circles, the crypto, the really intellectual, the mind side of things, with people who really, they do more like festivals, they do more healing retreats. They're much more like in the body, in the heart, and bring those together to have a good conversation together to move things forward. So obviously you'll be there. I'm really excited to have you as part of this event. Your co-author, John Vibes, is going to be one of our presenters.
I didn't know that till I saw that on the website. That makes me really excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really glad we could get him out. We got Chuck Williams, Catherine Bleish, Andy Harrison, who's this amazing presenter, musician from Portland, who's actually like the first person whose workshops I started going to when I was going on this journey. Let's see, we've got, people from all corners, really. Scott Swain, who's someone that's been involved with Voice and Exit and Anarchapulco in the past. He's going to be presenting.
And he's a big advocate of nonviolent communication as well.
Yeah, that's going to be his focus. A lot of people that folks probably haven't really heard of. They mostly like put out their video content and do their blogs, but they don't speak at too many events. So I'm really excited to give them more of a platform. Erica Harris, Michael Connor. We've got, I mean, altogether it's going to be like 24 to 27 speakers. I'm still locking in exactly how long people want for their slots and making sure we can fit everyone.
And could people find the names and the links to these speakers on the Be Empowered website?
Yeah. If you go to the website, you can either just like look around in the menu, or if you put a / co-creators at the end of it, it'll take you to the page with all of our speakers and musicians, and the sound healers and facilitators for yoga and stuff are being put up now. And it's got a little description of everybody and whatever link they wanted us to send you to.
Absolutely. So even if those names that Kenny just mentioned, you've never heard of them, it's a great opportunity to go check them out and get a little bit more of an idea. And I think this is cool because for me, the reason I stopped doing anarchist and libertarian events starting in 2013 and then kind of ending my focus on that in 2016, 2017 is because after you've been in that circuit for a long enough time, or even just a short enough time, you go from event to event, from camp out to camp out, festival, conference, whatever, and you see the same people, the same speakers, and often the same, literally the same speeches and the same ideas being represented over and over and over. And it just got a little bit old for me. I felt like, okay, maybe I've said everything I could say to this particular crowd. So I made an effort to, and continue to make an effort to speak at transformational events, really all kinds of events, entrepreneurship events, anywhere that I feel like I can kind of nudge myself in there and bring what I, the holistic anarchist message into there. So it's cool because a lot of the times I'm speaking at places where I don't know the other speakers. I'm not familiar with their work, and it gives me a great opportunity to connect to more people, to share my ideas with new people. And so if you're interested in this and in these kinds of events, I get a lot of people who reach out to me who are like, oh, I wish I could go to Anarchapulco, or I wish I could go to Envision, but these places are so far away. It's too much money for me. I can't get time off work. I can't get babysitters for my kids or whatever, these kinds of things. This is something that gives you a closer opportunity. And again, even if you don't know the names of the speakers yet, look them up, look up the musicians, look up the performers, and maybe you'll discover them there, or at the very least come to be connected with more people, because I feel like that's the big takeaway that I see from a lot of these events. Of course, people come to hear the speakers, and that's always great for somebody who's there speaking and sharing ideas. But more often than not, I hear people saying that they met amazing people and they walked away just with new connections and new relationships and partnerships and just that real excitement. And because a lot of us are coming from places where we do feel very isolated and alone. So at the very least, if you're hearing this and it sounds interesting at all to you, check out the website and consider going, because you got a couple of months left. Kenny said there's early bird ticketing for the rest of this month, and then the price will go up a little bit. So if you don't want to miss your opportunity to be here. The last thing I want us to kind of circle back to, you mentioned earlier, is another really important thing I think that distinguishes this event from some others. And that is as you mentioned earlier, kind of giving each person coming in tokens to decide where the profit from their ticket sales, which I think you said was $30 for each ticket sold, where that goes to. So, and maybe you go to some event and they let you know that 10% of all ticket sales are going to go to this organization. But as you touched on earlier, maybe the attendees coming to that particular festival might not even like that organization. Maybe, you actually want control of where your fund's going. And it's kind of part of the philosophy that we promote as well, about being mindful and conscious about where your funds and where your dollars or your crypto or just your energy is going and what it's supporting. And so just give that explanation one more time about what it's going to be like when people come to the event and they're given these tokens and they're able to decide where the profit from their ticket sales go to, what type of organizations.
Yeah, so when everyone checks in, when you get there, you'll get a little stack. I don't know if they're going to be $5 each, $10 each. We're still working out the fine detail, but you'll get a little stack of tokens to represent that $30 donation that's built into the ticket. And then we've got a big meeting room or small conference room that's just going to be a semicircle of 12 nonprofit or at least community organizations covering different facets. So one of them that we've got is called Frontline Farms. A lot of these are local to Colorado, so we're kind of bringing that energy in from wherever people are coming from and anchoring it into the place that's hosting us. But Frontline Farms is about community gardens, getting people food sovereignty. When Guerrilla Healer is about largely with cannabis, but generally alternative medicine and better health through the choices that we're making in that way. Rainbow Lightning Youth Village, which works with a lot of festivals and organizations helping bring mindful and connective and safe spaces for children at these events. So there's going to be 12 different organizations, each on like a different facet of what we're trying to shift, where we're trying to give people more freedom, where we're trying to bring more health and mindfulness into things. And so not only do you get to choose where your money is going, but you actually get to like stop and have a conversation with these organizations, get to know them. Maybe you end up volunteering. Maybe you end up writing them a check for $1,000. Maybe you end up sending them 2 Bitcoin, or, like it's not just here, you can see the little logo of some company we gave your money to. It's like you actually get to meet these people, get to know them, get a really good sense of what they're about and what they're doing, and maybe get involved in a deeper and longer lasting way too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I do just love that part so much. That's one of the elements that I'm most excited about participating in, and encouraging other people to embrace these kinds of ideas. One thing I want to just note to you, and actually I'm going to forward you this email whenever I get a moment. The reason I love this, and other people who are making an effort to distinguish their festival, retreat, conferences from others and to try to elevate and do it better, is because this sets an example for other people. I was recently at Envision Festival in Costa Rica, and Envision is definitely one of the most holistic festivals that conference, retreat, mix of everything that I've seen. And it's even more beautiful because they literally do it in the jungles of Costa Rica. And, they're offering you have like all kinds of recycling and compost stations stationed throughout the entire jungle, the little village that they build. You have everything being built from local bamboo and just all these elements that are brought in. And this year I was actually able to meet a gentleman who's been working with Envision for the last couple of years. And he just recently released his sustainable eco event guide or something along those lines, which is basically just a guidebook that he put together based on him working with Envision and also making suggestions to them. And he put this out to event planners and organizers like you and I to use this, like take this guide, adopt what you can, and consider these various elements to show other festivals who are just going with corporate sponsors, who are just doing the same old thing that leaves behind a bunch of trash, and just, it's not the mentality that we're trying to be a part of, and encourage them to elevate their standards. Because Envision even talks about that they turn down a lot of big money requests from companies whose standards and ethics are just not up to par with what they believe in. And so they're able to request to them and say, hey, we'd love to work with you, but you're just really not cutting it. Here's our standards and our ethos and our ethics that we live by and that we expect companies that we partner with to work to kind of abide by. Maybe next year, try again and see if you can make it in. And so if the companies really do want to work with them, then they will be incentivized to actually change the way they're running things. And so I think it's up to us, the activists, the organizers, the individuals, the speakers as well, to demand these kind of things from the events you attend and speak at, for us to encourage more of this culture to happen, so that people out there who want to go out and enjoy a good time and hear new ideas and hear music and dance and have fun and do yoga and all these great things, but they want to do so in a way that's actually consistent with their values. So I applaud you, Kenny, for everything that you're doing, brother. And like I told you, I will do everything I can to help make this a success. I'm very much looking forward to sharing a new talk just for the Be Empowered audience, and to checking out this Loveland Ranch that I've heard so much about over the years, and also enjoying this organic food. So thank you for your time, brother. Anything else you want to leave everybody with? Maybe the website, anything else they need?
Yeah, thank you so much for being part of this. And this in the broad sense of the movement, the great work, and for being here. I'm so happy to have you in my life, brother. And I just, one thing that came up a little few minutes ago while you were talking is, because connection is such an important part of these events, the scheduling is set up to leave space for that. So like meal times are like 90 minutes. So you don't just have to like run and grab food and try to get back so you don't miss a talk. It's like I want to encourage people to dive into these connections, to take time to sit and chat with people. And that's also why, part of why there's only one track of stuff going on. So it's never, do I want to talk to my friends or see this talk or this talk or this talk? There's either a thing scheduled going on or hanging out with people. But again, the website is be-empowered.xyz. We're on the Steam blockchain at be-empowered. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're just getting started on YouTube and the other little ones there, but yeah, Facebook events up, and Steam's putting out updates there, and yeah, we're gonna be hitting it hard over the next couple of weeks. We've been mostly like really getting the foundation laid in, locking in all of our speakers and musicians, and you're actually the first person we've come and really had a conversation for the public forum about this. So I'm really honored to.
Awesome. Yeah, of course, brother. I appreciate it. And again, that's B-Empowered, and you can find them on Steam, as Kenny said, and everywhere else. We'll put all those links in the description below. I do want to encourage you guys to get your tickets as soon as you can so that you can come check it out, hang out with me, hang out with Kenny, get some good food, enjoy Colorado in May. Sounds like a good time to me. And until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.